Welcome to New Orleans to another Where Family Matters. I'm your host, Emil Labat. Have you ever thought you would change the world? Have you ever thought about changing the world? Well, on today's show, we have a person that can literally change the world and the way we look at energy. Most of us don't even realize that much of the energy that we use is lost. Our combustible engines, our electric lines lose a large portion of the energy that's transported over the lines. Well, the person that I have with me on the phone today, he's not in studio, he's an inventor, and since 1980 he's put in place what he calls the gyro generator. And Mr. Joseph Newman is on the phone with us here, calling in from another location. Mr. Newman, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How you doing, sir?
Having me on, Emil, and so let's just go ahead and talk.
Let's just go ahead and tell you, just like I love you, you're straight to the point. Mr. Newman, before we start though, would you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you come into discovering this grand discovery of yours?
Yeah, well, I feel that this is something that God has given me for humanity, and you know, I've been dedicated to it, and the power brokers have tried to buy me out over the years and offered me an open-ended check if I would sell out to them. You know, my life's been threatened. I've really gone through hell about this technology, but God has kept me as a young man. You know, like, you know, you met me and you know that I am. This technology is ready to go forward. In fact, it's interesting. After I talked with you, I got an email from my friend Joe, and it looks like that God's going to make it happen now. And what it says is, "Hi, Joseph. This one may be great news for the new year." And it gives the name. I'm not going to give it, but it gives the name and the country the guy is from. Is coming to initiate an agreement with us in the first week of January. We need to block out some time for him and his investors. I mentioned to you a couple of times. This has been a development for some time. It seems the more he does, the more due diligence, the more excited he gets. Putting details together is his specialty, and he appears to be very successful. He has investors, and he names 4 different countries, and more, including the 3 largest corporations in his country, is, you know, in with him. And
well,
he
Mr.
wants
Newman,
to pursue a worldwide agreement.
Mr. Newman,
agreement that's in the hundreds of millions would be available. That ongoing funding would be available for as many plants as needed. He's very detail orientated. I believe he can move very quickly with initial funding and can help secure strong contracts on a global basis. At least one of his investors is an associate in his company. Joseph, I believe he is already on board with the technology and wants to meet in person, discuss how to approach moving forward. He first learned about us a couple of months ago. He has many investors and wants to pick the right ones for us. I have a very good feeling about this. And then Joe signs his name. But anyway, it's interesting. I got this today. So God's going to make it happen, just like he had promised me when I went to Washington March 28th, 93 to give my life. God made me a promise there that this is his technology. He would bring it forward and he'll use the people's money. So I know it's fixing to happen.
Well, Mr. Newman, why don't you tell the audience about your technology? What exactly is the gyro generator?
Okay, well, this is the energy in a magnetic field is matter in motion. And just like they teach you, the lines of force is imaginary and is real. Anybody who thinks that magnets or the lines of force are imaginary. Well, you take any two neodymium magnets and stick somebody's finger in between them, and I guarantee you they'll tell you the truth right quick, that energy is matter in motion. That's why those two neodymium magnets will try to crush your finger if you stick it in between two neodymium magnets. I guarantee you anybody will tell the truth right then, rather than lie and say that lines of force are imaginary. It's matter in motion. And just like a running river, how many years did it take man to ever put a water wheel in moving rivers? It took him hundreds of years, thousands of years to ever make a water wheel. This energy is matter in motion. And, I've had all these scientists who've endorsed this. Way back, and Garland Robinette had covered all that, and went and interviewed the scientists, got me worldwide publicity. I was on Johnny Carson, CBS, NBC, ABC, written up in Life magazine, September 1986, at David Against Goliath. I've had a really hellacious life, fighting the power brokers. I wouldn't want to have to live this life again, but one thing I can say about it, it hadn't been boring. It's been one thing after the next. But I know that God's going to keep that promise He made me when I went to Washington. And all the people can feel good because the people in New Orleans had got behind me and got me worldwide publicity. And a lot of them have left New Orleans, but I'm sure there's some there who remember when I used to come there and give demonstrations, over and over and over. And Garland was covering all this. And last time I saw Garland, he had came to my house. What he had told me was the power brokers had sent him there to tell me I had to sell this to them. And what I said is that you tell them I said go straight to hell, and that if they were going to kill me the minute that you left here. I'd still say that. And he started touching me on both shoulders with his hands, saying, I told him you'd say that. I haven't seen him since that time. But this is the kind of stuff I've had to face, trying to get this out to humanity. But I know that God's fixing to do it. And I'm sure there's people there who remember me. And the Garland, all the work that Garland had covered, and all the scientists who put their reputation on the lines, and came and got behind this, which is more than 40 scientists, nuclear physicists, mechanical engineers, just like Dr. Swimmer, who's a top mathematician at Arizona State University, signed a declaration I'm right by more than 100 million to 1. And in fact, all the listeners can pull up my site, GYRO, GYRO, power.com, and they can see everything that we're talking about. It's it's about an hour long, maybe an hour and a half long, but everybody who sees it tells me they're overwhelmed by what they see.
Now, Mr. Newman, you actually developed this in the 1980s, and in 1984 you presented it to the world. What makes this such a significant discovery?
You say, what made me discover it? Well, what made me discover it was simply that, I taught myself science. I made 11th grade reading comprehension when I was in the 2nd grade. Now, I started a barbell company in Houston, Texas in 1962. Nobody in sports touched barbells until Joseph Newman taught them that it would make you faster. Mike Stooks and Doug Klein were linebackers for the Houston Oilers in 1962, and they got behind that the barbells. In 1964, I remember the vow I had made standing on a mountain as a young man in Puerto Rico that I was going to do something good for humanity. Now, at that time, I had quit believing in God because I'd seen such a disparity between wealth and poverty. But I made a vow standing on that mountain with my fist up in the air that if I'm the only entity in the universe, I want to do something good for humanity. Now, so when I started reading all these science books, then I could see that they had not mastered anything. Just like Faraday, Maxwell, nobody can mechanically explain what the energy in a magnetic field was. Well, I've done that by the mechanical laws of a gyroscope.